Do you have your kids in travel sports, or do you maybe aspire to have your kids or grandkids in travel sports? If so, you know it can be wildly expensive. How do you navigate that financially so that it can be a blessing and not a curse? I've got a couple ideas coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. I am also a parent of 2 travel sport playing kids. Actually, 3 kids total. One of them's 3. He better not be in travel sports. And I'll tell you, I am the child of parents who had their kids in travel sports. And I'll just get on a soapbox here for just a second and tell you that sports, as you know, either from experience or watching your kids or grandkids, there's so many life lessons, and so much of what our kids these days are craving and where they need to grow in, they can learn on the field or in the ice rink or in the locker room with their teammates, or learning how to be a gracious winner or a good sport, good loser or something, right? And learning how to handle conflict, try their best and fail. All sorts of great things come from sports. Now, so I can tell you there's the good. You might say, well, one of the bads is all of the travel sports stuff. And I wouldn't disagree with you. In fact, my brother thinks it's way overdone. Let's just have great competitive rec leagues. And I agree completely. But here's the thing, right? If there's a group of committed folks that want their kids to play at a certain level and they have the ability to play at a certain level, it's a free country. They can coordinate and get together and form a team. And so those are travel teams. And the more and more people that do that, it's hard to just say, well, I'm not going to do travel if your son or daughter is into that sport and wants to play. And so we can't solve it culturally, but let me try to solve it financially. If you reach that point, and I remember when we got there with our oldest, she's now almost 11. And she was 8, and just had turned 8 and made a travel softball team. And I thought, what in the world? She's 8 years old. I'm not doing travel softball. But she loved it. She loved softball. She loved competing. Her best friends were the other girls on the field with her. And her very best friend at the time also was on the team. And so she wanted to do it. And I hopefully will remember it for the rest of my life. I remember it vividly when she got the call from the coach that she made it and how excited she was. And so we made the investment of time and literally the investment of money. You guys know travel sports cost a lot of money. And I have been in those financial planning meetings where the parents are saying, gosh, we want to reach these levels in our financial life. We want to save up for this or pay down this debt or whatever. But these travel sports, the cost of the equipment, the cost to play on the team, the cost of the hotel rooms, the cost of the travel, it's just eating so much of our budget. We can't do some of these other things financially we want to do. How do you do travel sports and manage the finances? Well, I will tell you, let me share my experience. There's 2 things that I would strongly encourage you to do and to help make travel sports, if that's a desire of yours for your kids or your grandkids, make it a reality and doing it in a financially responsible way. And the very first, I would encourage you to do as much as you can as far as sponsorships and fundraising, okay? So hopefully the team is organizing that, but I've had some friends that have played on that same softball team with my daughter who have said, we've actually raised all of the money. All of it. We haven't had to pay a dime for any of her travel fees. Now they have to pay for equipment, the new bats and all that sort of stuff. They've got to pay for equipment. They got to pay for travel. But as far as the fees to be on the team, that's been covered completely by sponsorship. And if that's $750, or I've seen some that are $2,000 or more. For hockey growing up as a kid, that was a couple grand each every single year per kid. And so use sponsorships, use fundraising, use those avenues to try to gain as much of that, of those dollars and raise those fees as much as you can instead of shelling it out of your own pocket. Don't discount those, okay? And if I could go a step further with this first tip, have your child who's involved in the sport do it. Have them do it. I remember when my grandfather connected me when I told him I was fundraising for our hockey team. And I remember, and I said, hey, Grandpa, can you help me? And he didn't say yes. Let me ask my buddies that he went to McDonald's with every morning and had coffee with. He said, Mike, why don't you come with me? What's a day that you don't have school or whatever? Come with me to coffee and you can ask these grown-ups for money to help support your team. And I can't tell you, I can tell you how nervous I was. I can tell you how awkward it was. But the amount of growth, personal development growth that I received from those moments is immeasurable. Even to the point, because my grandfather was a regular at McDonald's with his coffee buddies every morning, they got to know the manager, and he had me ask the manager for a sponsorship as well. But he didn't sit there in the booth with me. He arranged the time, and he had me sit in the booth across from the manager. He didn't even sit there with me. And I had to do it as a 12-year-old. The life lessons, and that's the big value in sports, because very few who even play travel will go on to have a career in that sport. But the life lessons, the things that they can learn, that's where the real value comes from. So capitalize on those sponsorships, capitalize on the fundraising, and push your child into those roles so that they can take ownership of it. That's the one. You probably expected me to say that. The number 2, though, this is where the real value comes in. All right. The second way to help afford travel sports for your kids is to set money aside each and every month or out of each and every paycheck into a sports account. I am not kidding. This is literally what I do. And I know literally is overused right now, but this is what I do. We have our 3 bank account system. You know that here, and that is all of your income every single month comes in, direct deposited into your checking account. You know where all that money is going on a monthly basis. This much is going towards the mortgage, this much going for Netflix. No, I'm just kidding. You borrow that from someone. This much goes for the car loan. This much goes towards Comcast. This much goes towards, groceries and blah, blah, blah. And so all your income comes in. You spend the monthly amount immediately. You know how much, okay? But a portion of that income every single month, or for me, every single paycheck, is directed from the checking account, from the immediate spending, into delayed spending, which is your savings account. And you've allocated, you've thought through what are all the things that financially we're going to say yes to throughout the year, but they don't come up every single month. They're not monthly expenses. And so vacations and Christmas and life insurance and auto insurance and these things that every once in a while you're going to get a bill for that or whatever. And it doesn't come in monthly, so it break your monthly budget. You save up in advance in bucket number 2, in bank account number 2, your savings account, so that when those bills come in, you can say yes to those, you can pay them without creating a whole bunch of financial stress in your checking account. And then the third bank account is where you've set money aside, hopefully it's already full, for a rainy day, for an emergency. This is your emergency fund. It's a money market account where you set money in 3 to 6 months of your lifestyle, but it depends on each person, and hopefully you never touch that money. Only if something is outside of the normal on a monthly expense and it's something you couldn't have planned for, it's a true emergency, and that's why you've got that safety net there. Okay, so sports, and I mean travel sports, I mean the new baseball bat that I thought I'd only need to buy one of those. Turns out they need one just about every season. You see how fast these kids' feet grow? You know how much we have to spend on buying new cleats? I mean, I'm just glad it's not hockey skates, but all that equipment, yes. Your travel fees after all the sponsorships and fundraising, yep. The travel, the actual driving, the gas and all that, that's extra. That's above and beyond your normal monthly, so you've got to set that aside. And of course, all the hotel stays and going out to eat and everything like that, that stuff, it doesn't happen every single month. And if it did, it's variable. Okay, but you know you're going to say yes to it. So save it up in advance. Save it up in advance. Figure out how much per year you think it's going to cost to do this travel sport for Johnny, and divide that number by 52 and save that amount every single week into this account. Or for most people, it's easier. Divide it by 12, automatically transfer that from your checking to this savings account into a sports account once a month. Then when it comes up that the team won the regional championship and now they get to go to states or they get to go to Midwest states or whatever, you can actually afford to go there and not worry about the financial consequences. You're excited to stand there and cheer on your child or grandchild as opposed to thinking about, this is really going to set us back financially. This is going on the credit card. I don't know how we're going to have to be able to pay this thing off. So amazing life lessons come from sports. It's life changing. Make sure it doesn't put you off course in your finances. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP, contact one on my team. Find us online, korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K, or wisemoneyshow.com, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.